these storms ever pass. The cycle won't slow down. I'm stuck here on the ground, and all I want so high up above. It's easier to stay and mark myself in gray, mark myself in gray, gray. A never-ending maze, and I'm lost in the escape, escape.
tired of feeling low. I've been drinking every night, trying to forget all the things ain't right. But there's a fire, I feel the glow, and I swear it's there to remind me not to care what lies behind me. So please don't let me get me down, 'cause I've been down. I've got a life to live. I've got a life to live. I've got a life to live. I'm wired and ready to go. I'll begin before it ends, before I lose it all over again. Now I'll be on my way, I can't stay, gotta leave today. I'll be on my own, that's for sure, but I'm not alone. We've been living wrong all along, help me sing the song. So please don't let me get me down, 'cause I've been down. I've got a life to live. We've got one life to live. We've got one life to live. I've got a life to live.
right, everyone, welcome. LAS week number 6 kicking off here with a pretty interesting one. We have the Nocturnals taking on the Wolves. They are looking very strong, both teams. I've seen them play, and I'm very excited to see what they have in store for us. But for now, we have seen some pretty nasty plays from some of these players, especially in some of the other leagues. But tonight we get to see these two Titans face off, and this is looking like game of the year right now, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens, but we are getting ready for a draft, and before we do start the games, do we have anything to say about it? Or about the games coming up tonight?
I'm just interested to see what's gonna go down. Should it be a pretty good matchup today?
Very spicy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have too much to say about the match myself. Having just joined, haven't really been keeping up too much with it. Did do a little bit of research, and the game does look like it should be pretty close. Should be a pretty fun matchup at the very least. And yeah, also very excited to see what we got in store.
So we are going to be going right into draft. We'll be back in just a second.
We're just gonna start it off here with the two teams, and all right, sounds good. So we got Nocturnal versus Wolves. Both these guys looking to pick up the wins here. For the blue side, we have Bubbin Cup in the top lane, Tantabus in jungle, Beanie in the mid lane, Eliotis and Moyushi for that bot lane duo. Can already see some of these junglers getting taken off the table for Big Boss Moo. They don't want to see him on any of those junglers. While the Wolves on the other side are on the red side. Gonna be going with Dallas in the top lane, Pig Boss Moo in the jungle, Bam Boomper in the mid lane, The Fly and Jar Jar in the bot lane. So it's going to be a pretty good matchup all across the board. Both of these teams have been pretty well routed in who carries their games and such like that. Beanie popping off a couple weeks ago, and overall it should just be a pretty good matchup overall. And you can see these bans already getting targeted towards the jungle. Hecarim and Karma already the first two champions taken off the table.
Mm-hmm. I really like the Graves and Evelyn bans for Pig Boss Moo are targeted towards him. The Graves one is a little weird to me since it is 11.4, I believe, is what patch this would be on, and the jungle nerfs heavily affected stuff like the Udyr, stuff like the Graves, things that farm really hard, and we should see a shift towards more ganking-oriented junglers, which is why I really like the ban of the Nunu and the pickup of the Hecarim. I think Hecarim is going to be a really strong jungler going forward, and also picking up a Syndra early, it kind of hides what your team's trying to do, so I also really like that pick as well.
And Morgana picked up 4 Nocturnals from Moyushi down there. Also a pretty good pickup, just denies a lot of that CC, and Karma plus Senna is a pretty nasty duo down there. You can pressure a lot with it. You have so much range. So I like to opt in here for Morgana. It gives you another one of those ranged enchanters down there in the bot lane for Nocturnals, just to be able to match up against that Karma and Senna down there. So first 3 picks up there for the Nocturnals, while Wolves waiting here to lock in something. Probably going to be the jungle here, just because there's already so many taken off the table. I don't know what it might be though.
A jungler for this patch, I do know that. Oh, that's interesting. If it is in fact a Karthus jungle, that is a very interesting choice. Karthus is one of the junglers who does like to farm a lot more than he likes to gank, so I don't know if that's the best decision, especially with Hecarim. I feel like Hecarim can cause a lot of mayhem in Karthus' jungle, so that's a little worrying for me. But if the Karthus does manage to avoid the Hecarim and manages to farm safely, the payoff is really big.
Yeah, for sure. Karthus can be one of those late game hyper carries that is just so annoying to deal with, especially at the later stages of the game. You got to pay the tax where if you don't get a Zanya's or something later on in the game, you just get blown up completely. Camille, Renekton, and Shen already taken off the table as well, and a Taric ban for some reason there. Maybe thinking they're going to go funnel or something. I'm not too sure about that. They'd already locked in both supports on both sides, so Interesting takeaway there, but nothing too bad there. But yeah, 3 top lane bans. They don't want to see anybody on the Shen or Camille. Very annoying champions to deal with, as well as at Renekton. So Dallas and Bumping Cup getting their champ pools taken away a little bit here.
Yeah, and the Camille ban, I really like, because even though she got hit with a nerf, it wasn't anything important that got taken away. It was her W, whereas her ult, her E, and her Q are all way better abilities. Her stun, having a higher cooldown probably would have been a lot more impactful. Her Q, while it does a lot of damage, I feel like would definitely have been a better source of like power that you could have nerfed to make her a little bit weaker. So she's really not affected at all. And the Lucian coming out should be a Lucian mid, and that's really exciting. Lucian's one of my favorite champions personally, and it's a great answer into someone like the Syndra, who would normally be lane dominant champion.
Yeah, that Lucian, great answer for Van Boomper that in there in the mid lane. So I'm interested to see if you're going to be able to pop off on it, because you're able to exert a lot of pressure just having that extra range. And for Nocturnals, they pick up the Gnar up there for Bumping Cup. He is pretty versatile up there in the top lane. So the Gnar pick here just being very strong on the current patch and in the current meta, just because you can counter a lot of these other bruiser heavy or melee champions up there in the top lane. So I like the pickup there for it, and it's just a great team fighter as well once you get to the later stages, if you can get that those big mega Gnars off as well.
Yeah, and the thing about Gnar is that, like, before, a big reason that he wasn't picked as much is because it's actually in higher tiers of play, it's a little easier to play around. For the Gnar ult, you just wait until he's out of form and you do your best to back out of that situation. But with new items, it makes it a lot easier for Gnar to get where he needs to be, which is why I feel like Gnar is becoming a lot more powerful now. And Varus being picked up as the ADC, I find interesting. I want to say Varus got a buff on his Q or his W in the last patch or the patch before that, but I still think I'd prefer something more like the Jhin, just because of how powerful Jhin is in general. But that being said, the utility that Varus provides is still very useful for the team comp that Nocturnals is going for here.
Yeah, for sure, and it's just extra CC on the table as well, right? You get the Chains of Corruption to add on to the already high amounts of CC that the rest of your team has. Great follow-up. One of those more utility-based champions down there, but not to say that it can't pop off. If you go attack speed, definitely pretty good, but I think we might be seeing possibly a poke Varus down here just because of an increase in like Eclipse and things like that getting up there in priority. So we're just going to be back in a few minutes. It's going to run through the draft here, and then we'll be back on spectator delay. Anything else you want to say about this draft so far?
Other than I think Nocturnals kind of handedly won this draft just based on champions alone and how they work with each other. It definitely seems like Wolves is going for a more like kind of win lane, win game kind of mindset, which can work if you just dominate the early game at least. However, with Karthus, that's going to be a little difficult to do. You're just trying to get as much power as you can throughout the game, whereas Nocturnals, they're a lot harder to punish, and they punish much harder, especially if Wolves makes a little mistake. They can take that mistake and turn it into a gain of their own a lot easier than Wolves would be able to.
Yeah, for sure, and it's just going to be an overall more standard composition up there for the Nocturnals, right? You know, you got the Hecarim in the jungle. We see that a lot more often. Not a whole lot of Karthus being seen right now in like pro play and higher levels of play, but it's not to say it can't be popping off in this game. As well as the Wukong up there, I honestly think it's a great matchup. You can get on top of the Gnar pretty easily, and it's a great setup for team fights as well. So Wolves not opting in for too bad of a team composition themselves. They have a pretty good wombo as well, just layering a bunch of CC over each other and their big team fight ultimates. But again, Nocturnals just have that more standard composition. So I gotta agree with you there that Nocturnals definitely won the draft in my opinion.
Alrighty, yeah. I think that's all I have to say for the draft, and we can go ahead and...
We're gonna be chilling here. We still gotta wait for spectator delay and such, so we can walk through these draft picks again and talk a little bit more about the players here. I know you're not too you're still you just joining in here with the LAS draft and stuff like that. So, but these teams pretty close in the standing. So, as my boy Salt was talking about earlier, this is probably going to be the match of the year, match of the week for here in the LAS draft, just because these guys are so close and pretty aggressive teams overall. They like to play. They like to go in. They don't like to. They usually get early leads, both of these teams. So I think we're going to be seeing a pretty big bloodbath early on into the game. So just really excited for this game to start here. What do you think about that mid lane matchup there? You said you were talking about how Syndra's able to get a lot of priority, but the Lucian is a good matchup into it. What do you think about that?
Right. So Syndra, as a mage, as a mid laner in general, has a very strong early game. Her level 3 is extremely strong, especially and then when you get to level 6, it gets even crazier. Your kill potential just skyrockets from then on, and you have Syndra's notorious for countering champs that have a strong early game, like Zoe as well. Syndra dominates stuff like the Zoe, stuff like the Victor. Orianna loses that matchup really hard as well, which is also why we likely see champions such as the Lucian, as the Tristana also coming in. Tristana has been played a lot in pro play recently, and these lane dominant ADCs being brought to the mid lane makes it a lot harder for mid laners to, like Syndra, to be able to deal with the pressure that the ADCs can bring. And I really like the Lucian as an answer to it, just because of how lane dominant he is. In the ADC role, it's a little bit harder for him to do anything in the current meta right now, just because it's a lot more support oriented, and the support's the one making a lot more of the plays, and Lucian being outranged by some of the ADCs and even supports as well makes him very hard to pull off in the bot lane. But in mid lane, it becomes a lot easier for him to be able to work. And if he can pull it off well, if he can dodge the Scatter the Weak from the Syndra, I feel like this could be a really, really good pick and a great matchup for the Lucian.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there in that sense that the Lucian is just a lot better in the mid lane in the current meta. But we gotta remember, League of Legends is a team game, so I'm expecting some early action there from the junglers. You were talking about Karthus not having the same amount of gank potential as the Hecarim, but I think if Pig Boss Moo can set up some counter ganks and keep track of Tantabus pretty well at the early stages of the game, shouldn't be too bad of a problem. You can definitely counter with Karthus. You have a lot of damage with those isolated Qs. If you're stacking them up on one person, it just does a whole lot of damage there. So if Pig Boss Mood can counter some of Tantabus' early pressure, I don't think it should be too much of a problem for the Lucian there. Bub and Cup and Dallas definitely going to be a 1v1 up there, looking to get the better of each other in that top lane. Well, this bot lane matchup here, I think, is much more of a standard, matchup down there. I remember last year, 2020, we would see a lot of Varus versus Senna at like the mid stages of last year, like spring split of the LCS and stuff like that. We saw a lot of Varus Senna back when Varus was just disgusting. So not a unfamiliar matchup here, but Morgana plus Karma down there is going to be definitely a Witch Enchanter can buff up their AD carry more and push them forward into the mid and late stages of the game, because they're going to be definitely the facilitators down there in that bot lane. So a few more seconds here, and then we'll be back into the game. So I'm just interested to see how this matchup is going to go down. Everything on the table. We see which team has the better draft so far. We both gave it over there to Nocturnals. That's not to mean that on the other side they can't be doing just as much for themselves. So it's going to be a great game overall, and I'm just excited for it to start pretty soon here.
Yeah, also very excited for this game to see how these two teams square up against each other. Also, something I wanted to point out about that bot lane while we get into the loading screen here and get into the game is, I feel like Morgana isn't as powerful into a matchup like Senna Karma because her spell shield loses a lot of power against those two, because they don't really have any abilities that are all about engage that need to be blocked. The only one I can really think of is the Senna W and the Karma W, but both of those are not that big of a deal as like something like if they had picked Nautilus or Thresh in this situation, the Morgana has a lot more power.
Yeah, for sure, I agree with you there. We're gonna get into the game and I'll get all synced up here, and then we'll be back in a couple of seconds. So we'll send you off to break, and then we'll be right back.
I saw you smile from across the bar. Yeah, she was pretty and so close but so far. She flipped her hair and I thought this can't be true. How does a man like me get someone like you? And then she looked at me and I was confused. Everyone here can't be the one that she'll choose. And I looked back and saw the spark in her eyes. This can't be real, my head's telling me lies. Just like that, you're coming closer to me. Come shake me, grab me, so I wake up from this dream. I can't breathe, come at me. I don't know if I can speak. Then she said, come with me and let's be free.
All right. So we're back into the game. We got the Wolves versus the Nocturnals. Nocturnals on the blue side, while the Wolves are on the red side. It's going to be a great game. Match of the week, match of the year, as stated by my friend Salt Spreader earlier in the day. So it's going to be a great matchup. So let's run down the sides here. Buff and Cup in the top lane for the Nocturnals. Tantipus in the jungle. Beanie in the mid lane. Meliodas and Moyushi down there in the bot lane. While on the red side for the Wolves, we got Dallas in the top lane. Big Pig Boss Moo in the jungle there, playing the Karthus. In the mid lane, Lucian for Bam Booper down there. In the bot lane, we got Defly and Jar Jar running that Senna Karma duo.
Yep, and still very excited to see how this match shapes up. Very more excited rather for Nocturnals, just slightly, just because of their comp, and I want to see if they're able to pull off their combos and such, like really well. However, that being said, Wolves, if they are able to keep up with Nocturnals, might actually be able to be more explosive and more exciting as well. So that would be really, really fun if they manage to get ahead, because then I feel like this would be a really, really close game.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see both teams down there already starting on their bot side, not wanting any early game shenanigans, starting with the 5-point start on both sides. No early invades, no shenanigans, no craziness going on so far. Would have liked to see some of it, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Karthus already burning through that blue buff, going to be just looking to power clear to level 3 early on and just, spam his jungle and get a lot of early XP.
And Hecarim taking a bit of a strange path here. So usually what you want to do as a jungler is you either want to full clear your jungle or you want to take like buff, and then either Gromp or Krugs, depending on which side you started on. And that'll get you level 3. When you go buff to Raptors, you have to go get the Wolves as well, which he's doing now. So we'll actually manage to get level 3 off of the buff at least. I think he gets it off the buff even with the XP changes. That shouldn't change here. And he'll manage to get level 3, but it's just a little bit of a awkward pathing because he has to go Gromp, and then if he wants to take Krugs at some point, he has to start him on his next back, which is fine. It's just that Karthus has more XP right now and has more farm, and that's going to give him a very, very slight advantage that could snowball if Hecarim makes a misplay, makes a misstep, and ends up dying on like an attempted gank or something like that. But I don't think that'll be an issue based on what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, some early bot lane priority here for the Wolves, just able to get the better of those early trades. Senna, very annoying to deal with. That's why we see her so much at the current moment. While in the top lane, Buff and Cup getting the better of Dallas early on as well. That range into melee matchup for the Gnar is pretty good. It does like to play more against those melee champions. It's when he's playing against things like that can dive him, like the Aurelia, like other range matchups like Quinn. It can be a little bit more difficult for him. But right now he's just chilling, 20 to 13 up there in the top lane for the CS. As you were talking about earlier, that awkward path has set the Hecarim there a little bit behind, down to camp right now, barely catching up right now with that Scuttle Crab, while Pig Boss Moo is able to get the other one on the other side. So not going to mean the most for him, but overall, at the very early stages, is looking like the lanes for the side of the Nocturnals are getting a little bit farther ahead.
And what you're seeing here is Hecarim was trying to look for a gank into the mid lane, which is what this clear path is trying to do. You get the top side scuttle, and
Looks
actually,
like we're gonna have some action there, but Big Boss Moo is here. They do spot him out, hit him with that QE from the Syndra, so not much action gonna be there. Just a little bit of pressure being exerted there from Tantabus, so not too bad there for the Hecarim in the mid lane.
was trying to get something they didn't manage to find much, not even a summoner spell, which is fine. Karthus was there, which is why that goes a little bit better for the red side, and why really nothing ends up happening. And we see Hecarim had just taken Raptors and is now on Krugs, and I don't know if the timing would have quite shaped up like this, but if he gets Krugs on his full clear, then goes Raptors, then does everything that he just did, I think he's able to get Krugs again right now, which would put him on par with Karthus. But now he's still a camp down, which, again, in the grand scheme of things, one camp has actually ended up at being a level difference, and now he's taking his back. Karthus is still farming, however, still farming his Raptors, will probably go up, farm his Krugs again, and Hecarim is just now getting back into his jungle, going to get his wolves and his Gromp, and is going to slowly get more and more behind.
Yeah, for sure. And we can see there, Big Boss Moo is looking into the jungle of Tantabus here, looking to take away that Gromp, so some counter jungling being done here from the Karthus, which we really didn't expect coming into this matchup. We were thinking the Hecarim was going to get the better of this early trade, but hold that thought, because Jar Jar is getting the better trade on Tomoyuchi so far. Jar Jar getting the first blood down there in the bot lane, and that's going to be him going down. Meliodas picks one back, but it's going to be the first blood going over there towards the Wolves.
So I still think that is really, really good for Nocturnals, because Nocturnal, the Varus is the one that gets the kill. The one that got the first one on the side of Wolves was the Karma. In terms of just straight up gold, yes, Wolves. What? Hold on. Well, that's just unfortunate.
See that up there in the top lane. We're just complimenting him for counter juggling, but yeah. Anyway, back to the bot lane, as you were saying.
Right. Yeah, the Karma getting the kill, while she does have slightly more money than the Varus would, it's still, I think the money is more efficient to be put onto the ADC, so I still consider that a win, if not just being straight up even for the side of Nocturnals.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, it was the big brain out of Pig Boss Moo coming in there from the Karthus. He just needed to back. He was like, I got 1,300 gold for my lost chapter there. I don't need to, stay on the map any longer. I'll just do a quick recall right here by dying. And in the top lane here, though, Dallas is getting the better of this trade. Bumping Cup getting real low, and that's going to be a flash taken away. That's Bumping Cup going down, and that's Dallas picking up the solo kill in that top lane.
So that's something that I actually that I thought I would see at least a little bit of, is someone it's being greedy and also not being greedy with your flash. So you should, if you're gonna use your flash, you want to use it a lot earlier than that, because at that point you're just dead and there's no really getting out of it, so you're wasting your flash. If you do want to try to get away from that situation, you flash like as soon as the first ult comes out and try to pop your opposing top laner's flash. In that case, it would be the Wukong. You flash away from the first ult, so that he has to flash and then follow up with the second charge of his ultimate. Instead, you not only give over a kill, you're also giving over your most important summoner spell at this stage of the game.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see that early dragon being started up there from the Wolves. They do pick it up. Karth is pretty good at taking that down. Phantom's going in, though. He uses the Onslaught of Shadows to pull back up Spam Booper, but it's not going to mean a whole lot. That shield comes down. That's also a barrier coming out as well. Beanie now has no mana. He has to run away. That's two flashes blown from the Wolves, but it's not going to mean a whole lot. Double kill there for the Lucian. Bam Booper on a rampage, picking up 2 kills already, but Dallas is also getting the better of this trade in the top lane. Wolves are popping off in the middle of the map, all over the map. And then we're not going to be able to see it, but it's going to be just going to be Bump and Cup flashing away in there, and Dallas flashing after him. And overall, the Wolves popping off all over the map. 2K gold in the lead. They pick up that dragon. They take it off. They kill the mid jungle duo from the Nocturnals on the other side.
Yeah, that was just all across the board wins for Wolves, and this is what I was hoping for from their side, was being able to do a lot early and get a lot of stuff done. The fact that Karthus is actually affecting the map as much as he is really surprising to me.
Yeah, this Karthus, what we thought was a bit of an interesting pick, was turning out to be the biggest brain pick of all, you know? They pick up the dragon, they're getting early pressure around the map, counter jungling as well, so Big Boss Moo just getting the better of this jungle matchup at, 10 minutes into the first 10 minutes of this game. And Bam Booper just getting absolutely skyrocketed there in the mid lane. Picks up 2 kills, now has a 200 gold bounty on his head, up about 20 CS as well, so looking really good on that Lucian in the early game, at the early stages of this game.
And the solution just gets more and more dangerous, more and more scary. Assuming he is building Kraken Slayer, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't in this situation. This solution is going to be a big problem, especially if he keeps playing the way that he is now. And that's actually very exciting. It's scary for Nocturnals, but it's, as a viewer, it's very exciting to see Illusion pop off and make a lot of flashy plays. So hopefully we will get to see a lot of that. Although it's also likely that they close out the game before a lot of the flashy plays are really necessary.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see, the better of these solo laners here coming in. The prowess that they're bringing on those picks there, the Lucian plus Wukong, both have been able to get solo, or almost solo kills, I would say. Lucian picking up 2 on the backside of that. But Up and Cup now looking on to Big Boss Moo here in the jungle. He's going to be getting real low. He's going to have to smite for help, but it's not going to be a whole lot. Big Boss Moo going down as well. Beanie picking up the kill onto him. So solid from Nocturne to pick one back. They were starting to bleak a little bit. That he had counter jungle quite a bit of camps from Tantabus on the other side, and now Tantabus possibly looking for something down here on the bot side. So we'll see what he does do. Tantabus looking to use the E, devastating charge, to try and find something. That's going to be a TP coming out, that Chains of Corruption come out as well from Meliodas. It's not going to be a whole lot more. Yoshi getting real in there as well. Has to use that Dark Shield on him, and that's going to be a double kill from the side of the Nocturnal. Solid out of them to pick up 2 kills back for themselves.
Oh no!
No, man, that's Tantabus going straight in the waiting arms of Bam Booper. Did not expect the Delusion to be there. A little bit questionable blast cone to go over in that direction, but in the end goes down, and Beanie having to be careful here as well because he is camping that bush there in the jungle.
That was a really well executed dive, and just what Nocturnals needed to get back into this game, and that's what your comp can do, right? Like it's really good at making plays across the map in general. Like the teleport coming through was a big part of that, yes, but also just the fact that you have something like the Hecarim and the Syndra and Varus or Morgana. If you hit one form of CC on somebody, it's huge, and you're probably going to get a kill out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And Dallas just barely onto this poor little Gnar. He's just in his little dinosaur PJ. He's not able to do a whole lot. That's Ward stopping. Meliodas is back there. Solid out of the fly to stop him there. And Dallas, again, up here just destroying this tiny little Gnar in his pajamas. But overall, just as you're talking about, that Lucian has been coming in pretty handily for the side of the Wolves. Able to get a lot of pressure with it, and even though Nocturnals get a good dive off, they lose one on the back end of it, so it's not the biggest influx of gold. They are still about 2k, now a little bit under 2k gold down, and Dallas able to get a plate up there. Tantabus just covering for the Gnar up there, and overall it's just been a solid early game from the side of the Wolves, first 12 minutes into this game.
For sure, and we are seeing Nocturnals come back a little bit. As you were saying, that gold lead is very important. The fact that they were able to cut it down so much is really big for them, and like I was saying earlier at the beginning of this game, if Wolves were the ones to get ahead, it was a lot more likely that this game was going to be close, in my opinion, just because again I was saying earlier, Nocturnals has a easier comp to pull off, and that is very evident, and what we saw in the bot lane with that dive, that's what their comp does best, a lot of plays like that, and it only gets easier for them to pull those plays off the more that they can get some kills, get some gold in their pockets here.
Yeah, for sure, that extra gold influx definitely allows them just to have a little bit more items to do a little bit more damage in their wombo. As we saw down there, the onslaught of shadows into the chains of corruption was just beautiful from the side of the Nocturnals. Again, like they just have so much comboing TC. You got Scatter of the Weak on Beanie there on the Syndra. You can see there though, Nocturnal's not wanting to give away this second dragon. They did see Karth up there in the top lane, so they knew he was on a recall or on a reset, and they are able to turn that into a dragon down here on the bot side. So overall, not too bad for the Nocturnals. Definitely looking up to scale a little bit more than the other side, and they're looking pretty good now, as they were looking a little bit starting to bleed there at the earlier stages.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. The fly getting real low. Has to use the shield from Karma. Has to blow his old shield as well, but he's just going to be going down. This is another beautiful dive from the side of the Nocturnals. That's a Scatter of the Weak plus Unstoppable Force there from the Syndra there, and that's just going to be everybody going down. He has to flash over the wall. Syndra getting away. But that's a double kill on the other side from Dallas. TPing in to save the rest of his team. Did not want to, give that dive away for free. Did not want to give away those 2 kills, and he makes it happen. 3-0-0 now on the Wukong up here. Has finished his Gore Trinker, and he's looking for more. Dallas looking onto Beanie. Has not used much just yet. Just using the EQ to follow. Plus W. There's another EQ. Using the Gore Trinker to get some more damage down. Dallas looking for a little bit more damage. Beanie getting real low. One more E will do it. Is he going to be able to find it? He's going to give it away to his Bam Booper in the mid lane. Good guy, Dallas, but Bam Booper probably walking the wrong way there. Oh, uses Summoner spell to keep himself alive. That barrier barely able to keep himself alive, and overall solid there from the side of the Wolves to pick up another kill for themselves.
Yeah, that was just really good play from the Wolves.
Big Boss move flashing onto Buffington up there. Has to make it forces him to blow his own flash as well.
Yeah, really good of the Karthus to be able to force out that flash from the Gnar. And that dive for a second in the bot lane looked really good for Nocturnals, but the TP from the Wukong is just what the Wolves need to be able to turn that play around.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see down there that gold lead that we were talking about earlier for junglers there. Now, Karthus is definitely getting the better of this. Big Boss Move just able to hyper farm through his jungle. 30 CS of almost 40 CS up on Tantabus so far. So definitely getting the better of that jungle matchup. Even though he is 0-2, doesn't really matter. He's just been power farming, and this Karthus is going to be a late game monster. So just going to be interested to see what we can do. But Meliodas looking for the engage down here, uses the chain corruption onto the fly. When you shoot, looking for some more, but here is Tantabus. He's on the other side of it. He's going to be looking for something. He uses the onslaught of shadows into the back line, hits the blast, going to hit the fly over, but nobody's really doing a whole lot of damage onto the fly just yet. But he doesn't matter because Jar Jar goes down as well. Double kill now down there for Meliodas. He finds the 2 kills. He finds the change of corruption to start it all off, and Tantabus is just there to make better of it happen. Up here on the top lane though, Buffin Cup getting aggressive onto Dallas. It's not going to mean the most just yet. Dallas getting real low. He uses the W to try and stun him up. It's not going to mean the most. Who's going to go down? It's a little bit more health. Who's going to be able to live through this? Karthus is on the other side of this tower. We're going to be looking to dive the Gnar up here. Buffin Cup looking for something, but Beanie is here. Uses the Scatter of the Weak to stun him up. Beanie just absolutely destroying Big Boss Mood up there at the top lane.
And that's why sitting on a pink ward means you should almost definitely leave immediately in a situation like that. The Karthus in a very vulnerable position. I feel like when your top laner is also very low, you can't really be there. He had his ult too. Probably could have just been sitting somewhere a little more safe, pop the ult. I think maybe would have been able to get the Gnar, but I'm not 100% sure. Gnar doesn't seem to be building a lot of magic resist right now, because he is going up against the Wukong, so Karthus probably could have just taken him out with an ulti, but instead was trying to look for a bit more of an aggressive play, and it doesn't pay out, and instead the Syndra is able to come up and collect that kill.
Yeah, get the better of that trade up there in the top lane. Nocturnals definitely aware about where the jungler has been most of the game. We saw it earlier with that dragon take. They just instantly move onto that dragon as soon as they saw Pig Boss move backing earlier in the game. And then again there, sitting on a control ward, we saw Beanie just instantly move over to try and defend his top laner. Dallas able to pick up that first tower up there in the top lane, or a tower up there in the top lane, excuse me. And this dragon is going to be spawning up here soon. But hold that thought, because Dallas is going aggressive onto Beanie. Uses Scatter of the Weak to try and push him away. It's not going to mean the most. But that's going to be an ultimate, double ultimate. Dallas is just going to destroy Beanie up there in the top lane.
Yeah, now that's just Wukong knowing that he can be exactly where he is, as long as he knows. I don't know if he knew necessarily where the Nocturnals were, but it's also just him knowing, hey, I'm Wukong. I know for a fact I beat Sinja. There's not really anything she can do against me. I kind of just kill her, and is able to very easily get that kill, but the rest of Nocturnals collapsing on the Wukong.
Yeah, looking to collapse here onto Dallas up here in the top lane, but Dallas sneakily trying to stay out of vision. He does get spotted up there from that Sky's room. It's not going to mean too much, though, because the rest of the Wolves are down here on the bot side looking to pick up this Dragon. Cup is just trading against Bambooper down here on this bot side, while the rest of the Wolves are just starting up the Dragon here. Tantibus possibly looking for an engage here. Dallas just messing around with them. He's going to be able to use the W to get back out. They use the Onslaught of Shadows. They use all their ultimates onto him. Oh man, Nocturnals, that's gotta feel bad. Using everything onto the clone of the Wukong. They pick up the Dragon. Wolves definitely getting the better of this first 19 minutes of the game. Up 4,000 gold now, 2 towers up, and the rest of their team is collapsing down here on the bot side to try and pick up this tower.
Yeah, should be able to get this tower no problem. The real question is if Gnar ends up staying. I feel like he will go down. Does have Hecarim to back him up, so actually should be fine, but something I want to touch on real quick is Senna's build pathing. She got Kraken Slayer, which is really good. That's fine. And I want to say she's going the Ginsu's next. I think. Oh, well, hold on.
Cup getting ulted up here from the Karthus. Not going to be able to kill him. Does get the Dark Harvest stack, though. Unfortunately, not able to kill that little Gnar. Oh, a little more damage would have done it, but not going to be able to go down in the end there. Yeah, Gnar barely staying alive. They wanted to get that pick onto Cup. Weren't able to get it.
Yeah, Gnar getting very low, wasn't able to quite get the kill. You could tell that Lucian really wanted it, but just not able to get it. However, they do get mid tower for their trouble. They got the bot tower earlier, a little bit earlier in the game, and right now Wolves playing the macro game very well, managing to get a lot more objectives than Nocturnals, which is what is getting them a very substantial lead in this game right now. What I think Nocturnals needs to do is they need to start trying to force some form of like 5v5 or 4v4 fight, because I would believe that they would win it as of right now, as long as they can manage to get the Lucian out first and CC the correct members. I think they'd be fine. However, if the fight gets a little messy, that's when Wolves start to have a lot better of a time, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Some of these extended fights might go over to the Wolves. Tantibus and Moyushi getting a little bit caught up there. While Bambooper is just getting knocked over the walls here with those blast cones. Not going to mean the most. They are pressuring around this dragon, have a lot of vision control on the top side of the Nocturnal's jungle. So able to control a lot of these jungle entrances and where and when the Nocturnals can really walk into their own jungle. So pretty aggressive, positioning here from the side of the Wolves. Going to be pretty good for them because they're able to get a lot of pressure around this objective. But on the other side, though, Tantibus and Cup are unanswered up there in the top lane so far. We do see members of the Wolves moving up now. They use that Rift Herald. They're going to be looking for this first tower. They're able to get it, but Cup is now getting locked up here by the Wukong. Dallas looking for some more onto him. Does find the flash. Ultimate able to knock them up as well. Cyclone is just so much CC down there. Onslaught of Shadows finds nobody really. And Dallas is now just in a 1v2 or 2v1 against Cup. Cup is able to stay alive, barely. He's going to be able to flash away. Cup now on the chase down. He's getting run down. Barely any health left. Dallas and the rest of his team are just running him down. A little more damage will do it. They do find the kill. Dallas is takes down Cup up there in the bot lane. Meliodas and Moyushi here just getting pressured solely by Bambooper on this Lucian, and overall just more plays being made here by the Wolves.
Yeah, the Wolves making, just as you were saying, a lot more plays, and well, there's another
Dallas,
one.
Yeah, here goes Dallas. He just doesn't stop. This man is unstoppable. He just keeps looking at that attack speed. Meliodas is able to find a lot of damage on him. Finds a shutdown onto Dallas. That's going to be a big gold influx there for the Varus down there in the bot lane. Meliodas able to, stun him up with the Chains of Corruption and find the extra damage that he needed. Is going that attack speed build, and the crits, not weak at this stage in the game, is starting to scale up quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure, and the Varus only gets scarier from here. Going for a crit build, though, is something I want to touch on. The Gale Force. I don't really know what the Varus build right now is. I haven't played that champion in a while, even though I play a lot more ADC. I haven't seen that champion in a while either. So I'm not sure exactly what that champion should be building. I would imagine Gale Force is pretty solid on him. Something that I know a lot more of, something that I was trying to touch on earlier before all those fights are breaking loose was Senna building Kraken Slayer and then also immediately going into Ginsu's. Whereas some people, I know a lot of like low elo players will pick Senna and then they want the rapid fire cannon instead. I've even seen some high elo players do that as well, because they want more range, but that's not why you're going the Kraken Slayer build. A big part of the Kraken Slayer build is how it synergizes with the Ginsu's Rage Blade and the fact that it turns crit chance into on-hit damage, and Senna scales infinitely with a crit chance to begin with, which just makes her super strong, and is the main reason that you're going Ginsu's, and getting that online faster is a lot better for that champion.
Yeah, for sure. That pill definitely annoying to deal with in solo queue and just right now in this game. You can see they're able to pressure a lot with members of the Wolves here. They are aggroing onto the Dragon. Dallas does get rooted up there. He's going to get stunned up as well. Dallas having to use the W to try and get away. He's going to go dashing in, finds the cyclone onto two. It's not going to mean so much just yet. Of course, the ultimate is going down. They do pick up with the Dragon on the back end of it, but it's going to be onslaught of shadows going on to him. The fly goes down as well. That Senna is not doing as much damage as she should be. Big boss move. Now flashing into 3. He's going to be trying to find some more damage, but Leotis is on the backside of that. He's doing a lot of damage by himself, but here comes Bambooper on the backside of that. Takes him out. Bumpy Cup now in front of Bambooper is not going to mean the most. He's going to get stunned up. Does not get stunned up on the other side of that. Dallas is now looking for some more onto beating up here on this side. Dallas picked up the kill onto him. Bambooper looking for some more damage onto him. Is he going to be able to find the kill back? Bumpy Cup does not find it. That's an ace for the Wolves. They get the Dragon. They get the ace. They get the kills. That's everything they wanted. And now the Wolves are looking pretty good in this game, looking to try and pressure onto the inhib of the Nocturnals.
And that's exactly what I was talking about with all these like super hectic kind of fights. Is that is as hectic as a fight will get, I feel like, in this game. And the Wolves really show their prowess in these more like crazy team fights where things are going a little all over the place. If it was a more standard team fight where, you know, the Nocturnals can actually control what's going on, they like can set it up a little bit easier and then play front to back, and that is their bread and butter. That's what they want to do. But the Wolves don't want any of that. They just want to get right onto the squishies, make sure that the Vars can't do as much damage. The Karthus flashing forward, splitting the entire Nocturnals team was huge. It made the rest of them have to like back up into weird corners around that red buff and essentially put Varus alone. Even though the Karthus does end up going down, it doesn't matter because the damage is already done. The Varus is the only one that's doing a lot of damage right now. Like maybe Syndra's doing some as well, but once you kill the Varus, I feel like the Wolves basically just win the team fight, and Lucian eating over the wall does a great job of accomplishing that task.
Yeah, definitely just ease over the wall just to assassinate the Varus, their main damage source, while Beanie is stuck on the other side dealing with Dallas and the rest of the members of the Wolves. You can see here, they're trying to get some vision control around this Baron. They know that's how they're going to win this game. That's how they're going to be able to break open the base and break open the Nexus there from the side of the Nocturnals. But overall, they're just doing a pretty good job just controlling vision around these big objectives. We saw it around the Dragon earlier, and now we're seeing it around this Baron as well. They're using these blue trinkets to try and get some vision to make sure they're not starting it, but it's not going to mean the most because Bumpy Cup does have some prio up here on the top lane. He is able to get that top pushing pretty far up into the lane, while the rest of the members from the side of the Wolves are up here to defend. Dallas is down there on the bot side pressuring the possible inhibitor turret.
Yep, and we have the Wolves. Oh, hold on a second.
Yeah, hold that thought. Tantipus is getting locked up here. He's going to have to use the Onslaught of Shadows to try and get away. Doesn't use it in the end. There was 2 CC'd. They do find the kill onto him. That's the jungler down. Now you could very well look for this Baron, and we can see exactly what I just said. They're starting it up right now. Big boss move. Just melts for the Baron. That's isolated damage on the Q. It's just going to do so much. Plus the 280 carries. They're not going to be able to stand much of a chance, but Dallas going a little bit too aggro. They use the W to try and get away. They're going to be able to find a lot of damage onto Moyushi. Maybe that damage will do it. Not able to find the kill in the end of it, but they do get the Baron, so that's what they wanted. Wolves definitely getting the better of that trade.
Yeah, for sure, and that's... I was actually just about to say, before Hecarim gets caught out, is what the Wolves are looking for is they want to try to make a play around this Baron, but they need something to be able to do that, and that pick is exactly the go-ahead button that they need to go ahead and get that done. However, as you were saying, Wukong getting a little over-aggressive and dies essentially for nothing. Didn't need to give that up. Could have kept his Baron and would have been a big threat in the side lane. Could have just backed off, returned to base, spent some money. I don't know how much he had in his pockets at the time. and then return to a side lane with Baron buffed minions, do a 1-4 split push, and having that teleport available when Narn doesn't is really useful for you because it makes your split push that much more terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. You could look to force for things on the other side of the map, TP onto the other members of the Nocturnals there with that TP, as well as just pressure a side lane, as you're talking about with that 4-1. They could still send the Lucian to match the Gnar here. It looks like that's what they're going to do for now in the top lane, as Dallas is just respawning right now, going out onto the map. It does have Hysteric's Gauge now. Bambooper, looking for something onto Bubble Cup, has a lot of damage with that Gale Force plus Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver, so has a lot of damage for herself. Gnar able to get away in the end there, so overall Bambooper is just going to look to move this top lane minions in and try to get that tower down.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh my god, that's too much damage for the Lucian. He has to flash away from the tower as well. I think he could have just walked out, but overall just playing it safe there, does not want to go down there. Dragon is spawning up here in 2 minutes. I want to see either a force on the top side or they need to come back to help this dragon. This is the sole point, but it looks like the side of the Nocturnals are just going to get better of it right now. They are able to get a lot of damage onto it so far. Heart is locked up here, but here is Dallas. He's keeping in. Beanie goes down as well. Bambooper's on the other side, though, just getting the inhibitor tower. It's not going to mean the most. Buttercup not able to do the most as Mini Gnar TPing in here. It's not going to mean anything at all, but Bambooper on the other side, though, taking down in him. Now looking to end the game. The rest of the team can just show up to help him out, and this might be very well the end of the game here for the side of the Nocturnals. But Bambooper getting a little bit too aggro. He's going to go down on the other as well, but he picks up one back as he's going down. That was sick to see. So much damage coming out from him at the end of that, and he does also get the inhib or the Nexus tower there as well. Jar Jar and Dallas looking to pressure onto this while the rest of his team is picking up the other tower. This may very well be the end of the game. Tantum is trying to do the heroics, trying to find up the kill onto Jar Jar. Here is Moyushi, not going to be able to do much with those chains. This might be the end of the game for the Nocturnals. Ace now for the Wolves. 3 Dragons, a Baron, and 60,000 gold in their pockets. 10k gold now ahead of their opponents. It's not going to mean the most. Looking for the last kill here on Sabini. They find the Nexus and they find the win. Wolves find the win against the Nocturnals.
and what a game, honestly, from the Wolves. Having this really scrappy comp, this comp that's not really looking to team fight so much as they are looking to find picks and find like these off fights, right? And they're able to do all of that and some more. I wasn't really sure about sending the Lucian topside, but apparently they just win 4v5 fights, so it doesn't matter. And once they got ahead, it really never felt like they were out of control of the game. There was like that one time where the Nocturnals brought the game within like 2,000 gold or so, but then after that botched dive, it was pretty much just all the Wolves from then on. Yes, the Nocturnals were able to find some picks, but they weren't able to find many objectives, which is really what sealed their fate in this game, I want to say.
Yeah, for sure. And the solo laners there from the Wolves just absolutely styling on those from the Nocturnals, just able to get such high CS leads as well as just, have so much pressure around the map. We were talking about how Nocturnals have that more standard composition, while the Wolves were looking here to just scrap and find these scrappy team fights where it's more spread out, where they can find people to pick off and such like that. And they were able to make it happen. And we saw that in this game. Lucian and Wukong just absolutely popping off. I got to give a credit down there in the bot lane as well for just holding on, not running it down there in the bot lane, even though they were a little bit far behind. Defly able to do a lot of healing as well as Jar Jar, while Pig Boss Moo able to just get so much early pressure around the jungle. He did Flame Horizon there in the jungle there against Tantabus, so pretty good out of him. Pig Boss Moo definitely popping off on that Karthus as well. With that, we're gonna talk a little bit more on the game. Here, this is a pretty good showing for both of these teams. This was the match of the week, in my opinion, and now you can vote there for whoever you want, whoever you thought was the player of the game from the Wolves, and we'll see in a few seconds who that was.
Yeah, if I were to give my own vote for the Wolves, I'd have to say either Dallas or Pig Boss Moo. Dallas went off this game. Just looking at the damage charts alone, he did the most damage in the game, which coming from a top laner is crazy. Even though you are hitting a tankier target, which does factor into that a little bit more, he still went 7, 2, and 6 on top of that and was finding solo kills as well. And was really just a beast in this top lane. Yeah, he did falter a little bit, have that weird play in the bot lane where he died for no reason, but was probably just high off the adrenaline, high off of just how good he was doing in general, which is why he made that play, which I'll give him a pass for. But then there's also the Karthus, who also was doing just a lot of damage, and that flash forward, especially that I touched on a little bit in that one fight that I want to say pretty much won them the game, where they managed to split up the Nocturnals from their Varus, which allowed Lucian to flash over the wall and get the kill onto the Varus, was just absolutely huge for them. And Karthus doing what he could to make that team fight a lot harder for the Nocturnals was really, really impressive.
You guys
Yeah,
can
for
set it to break
sure.
whenever you guys want, by the way.
All right, yeah, for sure. Pig Boss Moon going absolutely out for this game, as well as Dallas. Vote for your player of the game. We have a few more seconds. We're going to send it off to break. This has been Wolves versus Nocturnals. Wolves overall taking the win, and we'll be back in a few.
I feel a little gray, a mind caught in a haze. Will these heavy storms ever pass? The cycle won't slow down. I'm stuck here on the ground, and all I want so high up above. It's easier to stay and mark myself in gray, mark myself in gray, gray. A never-ending maze, and I'm lost in this game, this game.
Alright guys, welcome back to a really quick player of the game announcement. So today it was Mr. Dallas Differential up in the top side, going 7-2-6, carrying the game with the most damage, and he just pretty much smurfed the entire laning phase. He made sure that the little Gnar was not allowed to become very big. So we are going to get into draft right away, but it was a little bit of a one-sided fiesta. For the side of the Wolves, they just had the game, they had the ball in their hand, and they just never let go. So we are going to draft. We have a couple bans already coming through, so we'll be back in just a second.
Yep. We're on Pentacle now.
Yeah, and welcome back. We do have the draft getting started for the Gators versus the Crusaders. We have RNG in the top, Turnips in the jungle. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and apologize if I butcher any of these names. And here we go. And Chaos, I think. Chaos in the mid lane. Giggle Queef in the in ADC. Banana Bread support. And for the Crusaders, in the top lane, we have Soulcar, Softworm, Ezio Killer, Mako, and Tainted Red.
Yep. This is going to be a banger of a game today. Both of these teams looking to break their tiebreaker or come out on top of each other, per se. And Gators versus Crusaders. It's going to be a little bit difficult to say in game, so we'll see how that goes. Orenji back on his namesake, did get his account. He's back on Orenji, not on Package Ramen any longer. So we'll see what they're going to do. Jarvan already being picked up first here for Turnips, most likely. We might see it flex down to the bot lane for Banana Bread, but that is very unlikely. So we'll see what the Crusaders decide to answer with here.
Yeah, and based on what they're going for, they actually banned the Hecarim, Kha'Zix, and Misfortune. Hecarim and going for a Seraphine. I really like watching Seraphine. I'm surprised so far neither team has picked up Zilean. I know there's a support player who plays a lot of Zilean. I don't know if they're... Yeah, it's Tainted Red who plays a lot of Zilean. I'm actually surprised they didn't want to put him on it. We're electing to instead go something more teamfight oriented, which I respect as well. Assuming that Seraphine does end up going to the support, they could still flex that to the mid lane if their mid laner is also comfortable playing that.
Yeah, for sure. Seraphine, absolutely disgusting. Skarner, killer, destroying young scorpions back in the day in Shurima. So, Seraphine, a pretty disgusting champion in my opinion. That you get so much out of the Encore and so much healing from the beat drop or the surround sound, I believe is what it's called, and you just get so much utility from that champion as well as range at the later stages of the game. You're just able to do so much poke as well as utility for the rest of your team. Shen being accompanied by that, Shen also a very good pick. You're able to counter a lot of these hard engaged comps as we're already seeing here. The Jarvan being picked up there for the Gators. The Shen can just ult on top of whoever's getting stuck in that box and just keep them alive. And then Gnar and Tristana picked up for the Gators as well. So two very strong solo laners again. We're going to see that Gnar once again for the Gators. And as we saw last game, it did not look that good. So hopefully we'll see a better showing this game.
So if I'm the Crusaders, I I look at the Gators draft, I go, okay, they want to all-in team fight us, very similar to how the Nocturnals wanted to last game. Only, I want to say that the Gators actually have, so far, an easier time of doing so, unless the Crusaders manage to ban away some picks that would be really, really good for the Gators to have. They pick up Rammus, which is an interesting pick. He's not the greatest competitively because he doesn't have a great gap closer other than just rolling right at you, but still can perform, especially against the all AD team they've drafted so far. Though if I am the Gators, I am looking to pick something like the Orianna or Leona, or Orianna for your mid lane, Leona for the support, something like that, so you can just team fight really, really well. And the Crusaders getting rid of the Rakan, who is also really good at punishing enemy bot lanes early.
And Gator's taking away that Zillion from Tainted Red down there in support role. So maybe they're expecting it to be a Seraphine mid, but overall they just don't want to see a Zillion in the game. Rakan also taken off the table. They don't want to see that accompanied on the Gator side for Banana Bread. Does like to play that sometimes. So as you're talking about that, Rammus still has not gotten his update yet. Cannot bounce around and do anything he wants. So really just has to roll in and do whatever he can with that. But overall, I think it's a fine pick here. You have a pretty decent front line between the Shen and the Rammus. While the Gators are looking to just team fight, these guys are definitely on the other side. The Crusaders are definitely looking to possibly, front to back, play behind their tanks and just buff everybody up with that Seraphine so far. So we'll see what they opt in here for their fourth pick on this side. The Crusaders going to be picking it up here soon.
If I am the Crusaders, I think I want to pick up an ADC. That way you leave either your mid or support open for the counter pick. Again, you could still flex those two champions, and there's a chance that's Lucian mid still, and I still don't know exactly what's happening. I do think it is more likely that it's a Lucian ADC from a just from a draft standpoint, even if he is more powerful in the mid lane. Lucian is one of the only ADCs that can match Tristana early, and the Victor coming out, I really like Victor, as opposed to, like, someone may say, oh, Orianna is so good here because of her ultimate and it sets up a lot of wombo combos. However, it is also a very one-dimensional way of playing, and if you mess up your wombo combo, you really don't have a lot of tools left available to you besides maybe Tristana popping off and getting some kills after that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Victor pick, I like it, honestly. You just get so much sustained damage. You scale really well into the late game. Your ultimate is just disgusting. You can absolutely pop one of the squishies on the side of the Crusaders. Now you got a Lulu to buff up that Tristana. We got that Yordle combo down there in the bot lane. Tristana plus Lulu can be disgusting at the later stages of this game. So the Gators looking here to scale, even though they opted in for a little bit of a wombo up there with the first two picks with the Jarvan and Gnar. They're probably not going to be looking to do that very early on, though, with the picks that they did opt into. Lulu plus Tristana and Victor all looking to go in at the later stages of the game. Tristana getting so much extra range once she does hit those higher levels. And it's going to be that Lucian for the bot lane, as you're talking about earlier. Syndra picked up here now for Ezio Killer against that Victor in the mid lane. So it's going to be a Seraphine support. Tainted is going to be on that, ready to go, ready to drop the beat, ready to start casting those encores at the later stages of the game. And we'll see which team won the draft. Who do you give it to so far, Shogun?
I think I give it to the Gators again. Though I do have to say this time, the draft doesn't mean as much as we saw. We said Nocturnals won draft and then the Wolves absolutely smashed. So draft isn't everything, but in this case, I do still think the Gators won the draft. I like the Tristana. Tristana actually has a lot more early game power than you'd expect. Her all-in potential is actually really, really strong, even against the Lucian, who also has really good all-in potential if she's allowed to walk up, which Seraphine and Lucian shouldn't really let that slide. But even at level 3, her all-in can be very strong, especially being buffed up, shielded, and such by the Lulu could be scary, and that only gets scarier towards the mid game. And as well as the Victor, who if you don't get going early, it feels a little bad, especially against Syndra. As I was saying before in the previous game, Syndra has a very easy time against most mages. Victor is no exception to that. Syndra should be able to get the prio. But that being said, I'd say that the Jarvan Victor combo and the Jarvan Gnar combo is much better than Rammus Syndra or Rammus Shen. I feel like either one of those 2v2s, the Gators win almost like 100% of the time, and in team fights, just again from a champion standpoint, those champions have a lot easier time of executing what they're supposed to do than the Crusaders have.
Giving it over for ease of execution. That is very important when you're playing in these competitive games and such. Both these teams going to be looking to just pop off around the map, do what they can to get ahead. And if you have the easier composition, you're just going to be able to do that easier. So while the Crusaders did opt in for a little bit more of a, I would say, stranger comp, I would put it like that. Rammus plus Shen, I like to see that combo sometimes. You know, Rammus doesn't have the gap close, but if you have a Shen on top of you, you can just use the Shen to go in, you know? At that point, you just, you know, taunt somebody up, Shen taunts on top of that, and then you got great follow-up with the Lucian and Syndra. So the side of the Crusaders are going to be looking to go in, go ham, and try to start dives very early on at this game. And then you got the Seraphine to just buff everybody up. But again, like you were talking about earlier, there's just too much, you know, ease of execution on the side of the Gators for me not to, you know, tell everybody that they won draft, right? So overall, I think good compositions on both sides. Both know what their win conditions are. Definitely going to have a little bit more prio on the top side with this Gnar again. Orenchi, pretty good Gnar. We've seen him in past weeks on his Package Ramen account, but definitely pretty good on that champion. So interested to see what he's going to be able to do with that. And then we got that Yordle duo down there in the bot lane. I love seeing Tristana and Lulu together, or even Lulu and Kog'Maw. Hyper Gary accompanied by Lulu is always the way to win a game. That's how you carry your way out to higher ranks and such like that. You can just you know, ask somebody to do it with you, play Janna or something, and just press E on you, and then you can win 1v9 with Tristana or Kog'Maw, Sivir, things like that. So overall, I think Tristana's a great pick here. Like you're talking about, she does have pretty good all-in potential, and I'm interested to see what they're going to be able to do with that. So just 3 more minutes until we get into this game. So just final thoughts on this draft. Shogun, anything else you want to say?
I will say I do like the amount of utility that Rammus and Shen bring in that 2v2 situation. I think that having double taunt is actually really, really annoying for the side of Gators to deal with. As for the matchups as a whole, I want to say everyone's actually very even when it comes to their champions, besides maybe the mid lane. Syndra is the only one with like a clear advantage over her lane opponent.
Yeah, for sure. Syndra, as we saw in the last game, did get smacked by the Lucian, but we're probably not going to see that against the Victor this game. So Victor, a little bit weaker at the early stages, has to get a couple items under his belt before he can really start doing damage and popping off. But he does not have to wait for those item upgrades anymore to get that changed in preseason. So much better pick now than he was previously. Does not have to wait till level 18 to be useful. So it's going to be a good pick overall. As you're talking about earlier, they have pretty good wombo on the side of the Gators. You throw that W down inside the Nocturne Pit, and then you can, you know, stun up however many people. Throw a Gnar on top of that, Gnar out, and just knock people into the Jarvan wall. That's a lot of wombo that you have there. Yeah, and then you got a Lulu even to, you know, buff somebody up, make them big. If you want to even go that far into the theory crafting here. But interested to see what the Gators are going to be able to do here. Are tied in the standings with the Crusaders, as we talked about earlier. So this is a must-win for both of these teams. They want to, you know, solidify themselves into that playoff picture coming up here. Just a few more weeks of play left, so definitely going to be needing to pick up these wins at the later stages of the season, just to make themselves, you know, completely secure and get themselves a better position for the playoff standings. Yep, and just another minute here until we get back into the game. As we were talking about earlier, that Seraphine, disgusting, did get Moonstone and Staff of Flowing Water have gotten nerfs in recent patches, but that's not to say that that build is not, you know, optimal anymore. Still pretty strong. Staff and Moonstone are very strong items overall. So I think Seraphine was a great pick over there for the Crusaders.
I really like that as well, especially considering the item Chemtech Putrefier, which got had the passive changed to apply grievous wounds to your, or give your allies the ability to proc grievous wounds on other people if you give them a shield or heal them, which synergizes really well with the Moonstone Renewer and on Seraphine. The only thing about that is that the Gators don't have a lot of healing, so you're not going to get a lot of value out of that item, unfortunately, unless Lulu ends up going Moonstone Renewer as well, where you can get a little bit, but unless it's like an Ocean Soul or something like that, or the Gators get Ocean Dragons, it's not going to be that great.
For sure. And we're going to send it to break. We'll be back in a few minutes as we get all synced up here, get into the game, and we'll be back in a few for Gators versus the Crusaders. So we'll be back in a few.
I saw you smile from across the bar. Yeah, she was pretty and so close but so far. She flipped her hair and I thought this can't be true. How does a man like me get someone like you? And then she looked at me and I was confused. Everyone here can't be the one that she'll choose. And I looked back and saw the spark in her eyes. This can't be real, my head's telling me lies. Just like that.
All right. So we got another match of the week here. I know I stated match of the year, match of the week last game, but this one is also quite the match here. We have the two teams tied in the standing for Pool B. Going to be the Crusaders versus I just forgot the name. Oh my god. Versus the Gators. There we go. That's what I meant to say. So it's going to be Orenji on the top side for the blue side. Turnups in the jungle. Playing that Jarvan. Chaos in the mid lane on the Victor. And Giggle and Banana Bread down there in the bot lane. Running that Yordle combo. Lulu plus Tristana. And on the red side, though, we got the Crusaders over there. Solar Car in the top lane on the Shen. Soft Worm in the jungle playing Rammus. Ezio Killer in the mid lane playing Syndra. And then Mako plus Tainted Red in the bot lane playing the Lucian plus Seraphine combo. Pretty good drafts overall. We were talking about it a lot when we were getting into the game. So it's going to be a fun one. Going to be a long one, hopefully. And going to be action-packed as well. So with that, we see the 5-point starts and both teams just setting up around the map.
For sure. And, you know, it's a very similar situation. It's actually the same sides as well. Blue side has that more traditional team fighting comp. Well, that's a cleanse coming out of Tristana. That's establishing dominance. And I respect that greatly. Anyway.
That's an alpha move right there. You know, just pop your cleanse. You know, saying, I don't even need it for lane. You know?
Exactly. And to her credit, she doesn't really need it for lane. That's true. Which makes me wonder actually why she took it. Yes, you do have the taunts coming out. I actually think that's pretty smart for the Shen anyway. And if Rammus comes in for a gank, being able to cleanse at least one of those things gives you enough time to W away, which is actually very valuable. In lane, not so much, but it's actually really smart of this ADC to think a little bit more outside the lane.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely into the later stages when you get to those team fights, it's going to be a lot more useful than at the current stage. Both bot lanes hitting level 2 there. Not a whole action, as much action as last game going on early on. It's going to be the Rammus just trying to clear up his red side into his blue, while Jarvan is just full clearing his blue side into his red. So pretty standard starts, both junglers passing bot lane, while the top lane is up there. Standard handshaking, not going too aggro this early on. And we should see some early pressure here being given out by the side of the Crusaders bot lane. You have that Lucian plus Seraphine. You're able to do a little bit more damage at the early stages. So I want to see them, play a little bit more aggressive, push up the lane. But right now it looks like they're just getting pushed in by Giggle and Banana Bread down there.
Yeah, and something else I want to touch on is the two junglers. We're seeing a very similar thing as to last game, where the Rammus skipped Krugs doesn't choose to full clear, but instead of going for a reverse clear and going from buff, Gromp, and then reverse clearing up towards the top side, instead just basically does a full clear minus Krugs, which is going to put him, well, actually, never mind. Jarvan also didn't do Krugs, so because both champs both junglers don't do their Krugs, no one's really behind, no one's really ahead. But we do have
Turnips going in on Soft Worm. Doesn't get the Conqueror. It has a lot of bit more damage than Turnips or than Soft Worm at this stage of the game. One more auto attack would do it. That's first blood for the Jarvan. Percent health damage on your auto attacks. Who knew that would help? Jarvan picking up the kill there onto Soft Worm in the jungle, asserting his dominance very early on in this game.
Yeah, and that's just really unfortunate for Rammus not knowing where the Jarvan is. Probably they didn't have any vision of him that I know of to see where he was clearing. So probably actually expected Jarvan to be taking the top scuttle and path to bot side so he can get his own scuttle so that Rammus doesn't actually get double scuttled in this situation, which is weird for me from Jarvan. What I actually would have really liked to see from him is just going straight to the top side scuttle, taking that away from the Rammus right after doing the bot one, so you just absolutely cripple this Rammus's economy. But instead, Rammus is able to get this top side scuttle and might also look for a gank onto the Gnar.
Possibly looking for that gank. It looks like he's just going to pass towards his Raptors and his top side once again. Probably doesn't have enough confidence right now to do it. Did get burned down by the Jarvan earlier. Does not have the flash either. Renji just decides to jump away. Kind of went bad for him, but overall, solid out of the who am I talking? Gators again. To come out on top at the early stages. Chaos, getting a little bit better, a little bit more higher CS than his lane opponent. Has 5 up on him. While in the bot lane, it doesn't look like Tristana is doing the best. So early on, he will catch up with that lane he just did push in. So pretty good out of them. While in the top side, very even as well. Only a few minions separating these two up there. Might look for an early dragon here. They do have 4 members already, while the rest of the guys were on a reset. We could very well see an early team fight here from both sides.
Yeah, and seeing an early team fight around this dragon would be very exciting. It looks like something might be about to happen.
Yeah, there's a TP coming in already from the red side. Renji going in, trying to help the rest of his team. But as taunted up is Turnip. Flash will do it. They do get the red side does get the dragon in the end there. That is 1 kill going away towards the Gators or towards the Crusaders on the other side of that. Renji now having to flash away as well. Solar Car looking for something else onto Chaos here. Not gonna be able to find it just yet. But overall, the Crusaders getting the better of that, picking up the kill and a dragon. So nice out of them to find something to back after that bad level 3 there from the Rammus. They do find that smite, get it over onto that dragon, and overall they find a kill as well.
Yeah, that was insane that the Gators only had 1 casualty at the end of the day. The Lucian popping the slash, trying to get that kill onto the Lulu, I think it was, on the back end of the fight. Everyone's health bars for Gators, they're really, really low. And also Lucian, eing forward, getting some of that damage onto the Tristana, who can't realistically answer back with anything, or else she just gets pressured out of lane by the Seraphine and the Lucian.
Yeah, it does not have the most damage early on, and as we were talking about earlier, that Lucian has to, start something up at the early stages, or he's just going to get outscaled by the Tristana in range and in damage, I think, at the later stages. That's not to say, Lucian isn't a great duelist. We saw it pop off last game, but if you're going up against the Tristana in the bot lane, the econ is set up differently, right? So you definitely got to be trying to pressure on early and try to, set this Tristana as far behind as possible at this stage of the game. But what I liked there was the aggression there from the side of the Crusaders. They were able to pressure them off. They forced them all into the back of the Dragon Pit, slowing them up. And they were able to just wombo onto them. And then both top laners TPing in, so very early team fight as we saw. And overall, it worked there for the Crusaders.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of posturing in the mid lane. The Victor managing to get Syndra's ultimate out, which is actually really, really nice for Victor. He did have to pop his own ultimate, however, but that is fine for him. The more even that lane goes, I'd say Victor ends up coming out on top. If he does manage to find a kill here and there, that's huge for him because that is 25 points towards his passive, which is how his Hex Core upgrades work. Instead of having to purchase them, he just needs to get either farm, which is all worth 1 point towards that, or a killer assist, which killer assists are worth 25. So getting those kills and assists just help Victor snowball a lot more than he did before.
Yeah, for sure. Victor definitely looking to scale up quite a bit. Has to get some items before he's really useful. Does before he does a lot of damage and such. So we can see there though, turnips on the top side already started up that Rift Herald. So as opposed to last game where we didn't even see that Rift Herald take until like 15 minutes into the game, this is 8 minutes. That thing just spawned and turnips is already right on it. So looking to use that thing very early on, get his team a little balloon in gold. And overall though, the Gators have been able to nicely get themselves about a 600, 800 gold lead here against the Crusaders there.
Yeah, having that gold lead is nice. It's gonna feel nice for a little bit. It doesn't mean a whole lot for now. I feel like once you hit that 2K mark is when you're really starting to get ahead. And as long as you're not giving kills or objectives over, once you hit 2K, you can snowball a lot easier from there. So this game still very competitive at the moment. Still a lot that can go wrong or go right for either side. And I'm really excited to see what ends up happening with this mid lane because yes, Sinja is generally winning trades, or at least she should be. But Victor just barely ahead in CS, and if the pattern continues, I feel like Victor could actually end up coming out on top of this lane, and that would be absolutely crazy for the side of Gators and be really advantageous for them.
For sure, if that Victor can, edge ahead of that Syndra any little bit, it's going to mean a whole lot coming into the later stages of this game. So far, we've seen that one team fight, and it went the way of the Creators. So hopefully, with a little bit more setup, the side of the Gators there can, pressure a little bit more around the objective, get a better positioning, because they did kind of set themselves up for what happened to them earlier. We're stuck all behind the pit. So with a little bit more preparation and a little bit more vision control around this objective, I think they could very well set up a good play around them. They do have to care, though, if they do try to make a three-man play, that Shen does now have ultimate. Stand United is on the table. Will be there if he needs to, or if his team is in trouble. Turnips looking to use that Herald down here on the bot side as this Dragon is just spawning up here in a few seconds, while the rest of the team is respawning. Even Solar Car up there in the top lane looking for a back right now. Banana Bread now taking bad of a trade. Turnips might be getting hit up here. Does get taunted up by Soft Worm. And ultimate comes down from the Rammus, but it is Turnips into the back line. It's not going to be the most. That Encore comes down and hits onto 3. That's Banana Bread using a lot of damage. Soft Worm going to be stunned up there and locked up there. Soft Worm looking for a little bit more. One more auto attack would have done it, but the 4 members of the side of the Crusaders are here. They're looking to fight. They're looking to crusade. They're looking to run over the enemy team. Giggle is now stuck up here. Hits the Strider's Bloom to try and get some vision onto this Dragon. It's not going to be the most. Turnips is alive while Softworm is dead. They could look for the steal here, but this Gnar is getting placed on the top side, and they did get that Herald hit earlier, so this might not be the worst thing for the side of the Gators here, but this might be the second Dragon here for the Crusaders.
Yeah, should be Dragon going over to the Crusaders. I don't think there's anything the Gators can really do about this, and this is one of the greatest parts about Shen. Shen didn't have teleport up, but he has his ultimate, so he's able to join the fight when Gnar cannot. Gnar and Shen, I believe, both using their teleports a little earlier to get to lane, to take a bit better of backs, or neither side really being able to get off a cheater recall. And even though Gnar is absolutely demolishing the Shen in CS, Shen can still affect the map a lot easier than Gnar can when both top laners don't have their TPs. If Shen has his ultimate, it's basically just another charge for his teleport, and I would argue that it's much better.
Yeah, for sure. In the fight of just getting around some fights much easier. The Shen definitely having the edge on that, but if you just run down the turret like Renji has been doing on this top lane, 4 plates now in his pocket, 4K or 3K gold up now for the side of the Gators. Those early plays are definitely starting to make you bleed, make you hurt. So Solar Car has to be cautious of that and make sure he does not get dived or give away any more gold up here on this top lane. Overall, though, it's not looking too bad for the side of the Crusaders. They have that second Dragon, are able to stack those up quite nicely now. So they give away the Herald, but they get the second Dragon, and it's going to be pretty good for them if they can get another one of those. They're going to be on soul points and, in a very good position at the later stages of this game or coming into the mid game. Hold that thought, though, because here comes the Rammus. He gets stunned up by the W on Chaos there. Has to burn the flash, but overall he stays alive. So it's not going to be the worst thing for Chaos. Does stay alive, doesn't give away any gold or any more pressure in the mid lane, but Softworm finding a nice engage there onto Victor, knowing he has to build a flash if he wants to stay alive.
And Rammus just going to go back into his jungle, gonna go ahead and farm on up. They're trying to catch up in farm to the Jarvan. That death when he was about level 3 really put him behind here, and we might have a fight beginning.
This could be the fight that we want. Encore comes out, only hits onto the Tristana. It's not going to be the most. Mako is now locked up into the box. That blasting charge or whatever charge it is gonna kill him in the end. There, takes the bros. Now gonna get locked up by the E combo from turnips. A little bit more damage. Exhaust comes out onto him. It's not gonna be the most. Overall, they get the kill there, 1-0 for the side of the Gators there. Solid out of them to find the Lucian out of position and out of mind, and they pick up the kill onto him. So solid out of turn to find that play.
Yeah, and I am just absolutely loving this game so far. While it's not a lot of kills happening in each of these fights, it's actually been blow for blow. One team gets a kill, the other team gets a kill, one team gets another kill. It's just actually just jab, 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 and I love that kind of play because it's also very controlled from both sides. It shows that it's not just an absolute fiesta of fights. You're finding really smart picks. Both sides managing to find those is actually really, really nice to see instead of just somewhat.
Get blown up by chaos. It's gonna be just a chaos storm there, going by his namesake and just destroying the Cinder there. Sorry to cut you off there, but
No, that's fine. Feel free.
Man.
I can barely talk before another play happens, and I also love that. I also love having, while it's very controlled action, there's a lot of it, and that's really fun to see in games in general. And after all of this is said and done, the Gators managed to get that first turret as well, which is a lot of gold in their pockets, and they're starting to snowball this lead, even though it's only 4-2. If they keep getting picks like that, if they keep making smart macro plays and being able to get towers and objectives and such, well, hold on.
Solar's gonna get low, has to pull a flash to get away. Oh man, this is just pressure all around the map from the Gators here. They may be getting away those two dragons, but it's not gonna be the most for them. On the bot side here, Ramus looking for something, but he doesn't find it. Solar should have not walked back to his tower. Should have just probably reset it and tried to get some health back before coming back. But in the end there, he doesn't go down. Renji just making this a top gap so far, specifically in that top lane. Even though Shen has been able to impact the map a little bit more, Renji has just made this game about the towers, about to farm, and is barreling onto Solar up there in the top lane.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like a top gap so far, getting that tower all by himself.
Oh, Turnips, hold that thought, because this is more action coming out. Turnips looking for the engage here. Mako just using the Colin to try and get some extra damage down. The Encore does come out, locks him up. So even though it doesn't result in anything, it's going to be just pressure all around the map. Again, we might see this fight here. The Dragon has now spawned up in a few more seconds. We'll see which team is going to be the first to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and it looks like actually the Crusaders want to try something here, which is very interesting. The Gators going to go ahead and pop the Rift Herald, making Crusaders make a choice. Do they want to take the Dragon or do they defend their tower? Looks like they're going to go ahead and defend or take this Dragon. We'll see what happens.
It's going to be a fight to the death here. One of these teams is going to make the plays happen, make the triggers happen, but Orenji is just stopping Solar from getting into that fight. They don't want it to be a 5v4 or a 4v4 or a 5v5, whatever it is. Solar card barely staying alive. One more kill will do it. Orenji picks up the kill, but on the boss side, there's some more action here. They push out the side of the Crusaders. Turnip and the rest of his team are just going to be able to push onto this Dragon, not give them that third Dragon that they wanted so badly. And the Crusaders overall lose that in trade so far, while the other side just comes out on top.
And the Gators also get that Rift Herald crashing into the mid lane turret, so they're going to go ahead and rotate on mid, get this wave pushing. They might look for the tower. They should be able to very easily get this with Tristana, even if the Seraphine comes up and tries to clear the wave. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Tristana just takes those towers too fast. And also, Gnar, like, while you do have the Shen on the top side who can answer team fights and ult in or try to teleport in, it doesn't matter if you have this big beefy Gnar in your face tower diving you and killing you. There's just nothing you can realistically do about that, and now the Gators have a huge advantage over the Crusaders, and I'm starting to not really see how the Crusaders can get back into this. If they do want to get back into this game, they do have to look for picks now, as the Gators should just absolutely decimate any fight from now on.
Yeah, for sure. 4 towers up, 8,000 gold. They even pick up that Ocean Dragon. Gonna be looking to stack those up. Baron up in a few minutes here, so we'll see if they decide to pull the trigger onto that. They don't even have to. They really just can just pressure here with this Gnar in the side lane. Nobody can really match him now with 2 items, Black Cleaver and the Divine Sunder there in his pocket, so he's gonna be feeling pretty good for himself, while Chaos and the rest of the team are just farming up in the mid and top lane. We can see here now that they're sending Orenji up there to the bot lane to try and pressure that objective as well, and then sending Chaos up here into the top lane and just try and get that farm and CS up a little bit more. So overall, I think the Gators have been just decimating with their macro decisions, and they might be looking for something else. Turn up now, flashing or EQing in onto Soft Worm, blowing his flash in the end there. Nobody there to really defend. Poor little Ramus, that Armadillo, has just been getting the worst of it today in this game. Ezio Killer is now by himself against 2 members, but it's not going to be the most. It is a EQ combo. Chaos. Just Chaos storming his way through. Encore comes out onto 3. Hits onto 3. It's not going to be the most so far. Maiko is in the back line trying to keep himself alive, but here is a Gnar. Gnar's going to be looking at Gnar out. Is even a mini Gnar. Just clapping them up. Clapping those cheeks. Orenji is just destroying them. That's a double kill for Giggle down there in the bot lane though, and this might very well be the mid second tower and mid inhibitor tower as well.
I could very easily see this inhibitor tower going down as Orenji trying to look for something. Don't think he's going to be able to find that Lucian, just trying to dissuade him from joining. And Ramus, this all stemmed from Ramus wanting to step foot in his jungle, and then his mid laner and top laner go, oh, they're kicking you out of your jungle? Here, we'll help you, and also just kind of get mopped off the face of the earth. They just get slaughtered, and that's something that you just can't do in this situation. You cannot go into your own jungle when you are this far behind in the game. Now about 10k gold down. They were still probably about 7.5k gold down when this.
Well, they're looking at something onto Orenji. This might be very well the shutdown that they need. They find it onto Mako, who just might, who they might want it on, and it's a pretty good shutdown, but how much does that mean? The Baron is up, and they don't really have a position where they can, go onto it or pressure it. So even though they get that kill and some extra gold in their pocket, it's not going to mean the most there for the Crusaders.
Yeah, for sure. You do have 2 of those kills on the one that you are on the champion that you need your money to be funneled towards, which is this Lucian. Lucian being an early game champion, it's not going to get much better from here on out, but you still, if you want to try to win this game, need this Lucian, need the Syndra to get as much money as possible, because those are your only win cons. Like, yes, you could get a really good Seraphine ult, but it doesn't matter if you have no damage to follow it up on, especially, like, you have so much utility, you need the damage. You need Lucian to stay alive. That is the biggest thing. Stay alive and dish out damage. Both him and Syndra, if they can do that, there's still a chance, but it's just really, really scary for them, because I'm pretty sure Gnar can 1v1 just about any one of the people on the Crusaders.
Yeah, for sure. And Ramus was just on a back there. They probably saw that and just instantly start up onto this dragon or onto the Baron here. 20 minutes into the game, they have the gold, they have the money, they have everything they need to take this objective down. So overall, it's not going to mean the most, but here is the team of the Crusaders. Are they going to look to contest? Pulling comes out from Mako. It's not going to mean the most just yet, but here's the Ramus. Doesn't have the flash, doesn't have anything. He can't find the smite. Solar Car is over the wall. They find that engage onto 4 people. It's not going to be the most at all. Mako is trying to just front to back. Here comes the Ramus, but Mako is stuck into the Cataclysm. He's alone. He's stuck. But on the other side, though, Reggie's just barely onto the enemy team. Softworm is trying to do his best, but he's just a Ramus with 1 item. He can't do anything. That's going to be the ace. That's probably going to be the game here. 5-0. They find the fight they want. That's going to be the Gators finding it at all. 22 minutes into this game, they could very well look to end here.
Ending would be a little bit overzealous. I feel like they can definitely get a lot off of this, though. They can go ahead and get this mid lane turret. They could, right after they get that, rotate on down, or after they get the inhibitor, because they're going to want to stay for that. Rotate down bot lane, get that tower, and I don't think there's anything the Crusaders can do about it unless they went straight there. Jarvan already on the Ocean Dragon, going to go ahead and pick that up for the Gators, and even though they didn't end the game by killing the Nexus towers, the game feels very over right now.
Yeah,
Not
for sure.
Crusaders can.
Yeah, gotta agree with you there. This game definitely feeling tuned if you're the Crusaders. What looked like in a very, very close early game has just completely ballooned into a snowball, into an avalanche. So the side of the Crusaders have not been able to keep up with the pressure that the enemy team has been pressuring onto them, and all around the map they've just been making play after play, just playing hyper aggressive. The Gators have just wanted to be in their face at all times, and they're just set behind every member from the side of the Crusaders down.
Yeah, and realistically, towards the beginning of the game, you might be seeing, oh, Tristana has like this perfect KDA. Was I think 4-0-1 before anything had happened, but really, like, if we're putting MVP again, they haven't won yet. The Gators haven't won yet, but I'm already locking it in for RNG. This guy is just going off on this Gnar. He has been controlling the game in so many ways. His team has been able to make plays because of the pressure he's been applying to this Shen. This Shen cannot really play the game. This Shen doesn't have a completed item. If that tells you anything about how good this Gnar is doing.
Yep, that Nara has been the difference maker, but Turnips here is just diving under the tower here, also a difference maker. Just the leading Ezio killer off the map, and this could be a push, another push into the mid lane here. But yeah, as you're just talking about, Orenji has just been the difference maker so far. From the very early stages of the laning, had a huge CS lead, had that big flame horizon on him for a while, even diving him under the tier 2 tower at one point. So Renji definitely looking the best. Oh my god, that's chaos. Damage has 2 items now, just absolutely destroying the enemy team. Mako not able to stay alive early. That explosive charge is on his head. Giggle picks up the kill onto him. That's another ace. That's the Gators finding a triple kill. Chaos using the Chaos Storm and his Victor with 2 items to just barrel through the enemy team. This is going to be the game. That's going to be it. Orenji and his team make it happen. This was a top diff from the start to finish. Ezio Killer now just coming in and trying to do the best he can. Another ace, just say it for his namesake. And that's going to be the Gators picking up the win onto Crusaders.
And somehow even more of a stomp than the last game. Like, the last game, I was considering a stomp. But that one was like 20 something to 13. This is 20 to 3. This is an absolute stomp, and really got to give credit to the Gators for how they played this game. They played it fast, clean, and as soon as they got the advantage, they didn't let up on the gas at all. They just kept going and going and going, and were never really punished at all because they were just playing great League of Legends the entire time, getting so many great kills across the map and turning them into leads in other places and managing to get towers and not dragons towards the beginning, but they managed to get 2 dragons, 2 ocean dragons, the 3rd and the 4th dragon, which is huge for them. And then also getting the Baron. After that point, the game is just absolutely over.
Yeah, for sure, just absolutely destroying them at all points. And what we said it was like a close early game, very early on, but overall it didn't really matter. They were just getting outplayed and styled on at the later points of the game, and Orenji being the difference maker his team needed up there in that top lane, not letting that Shen even play League of Legends. So overall, great League of Legends, as you just said, from the side of the Gators there. And the Crusaders not able to make it happen. This was supposed to be a very close match. Both teams tied in the standings, but the prowess from the solo laners here on this side, as well as the bot lane, and honestly, all around the map here from the Gators, just showed out and came out on top. They tried their best on the side of the Crusaders, but honestly, it wasn't enough. It could have been with the draft, a little bit harder execution with their picks, but overall, I think the Gators just played extremely well.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was my big takeaway from at least the Crusaders was yeah, they didn't perform as well as I think they wanted to, but I think a lot of that is you can easily fix some of that by drafting a team that's a little easier to execute. The only like great engage tool that you had was like Shen and then Seraphine ult, and those you really don't want either of those things to be your primary engage. I think if you had a different jungler, like maybe even something like Zac or I'm blanking on some other like primary engage junglers that you want, but
Yeah.
still Crusaders played decently. I feel like they can fix a lot of their mistakes in just draft, and then I'm still excited to see what they have in store in the future.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna be heading off into breaks, and we'll be back in a few to just talk about player of the game. Don't forget to vote there for who you thought was the best player in the game, and we'll be back in a few. For sure, for sure.
Close your eyes, don't think it much. Maybe then you'll feel alright. All these noises, all these voices, they get me tied to the ground. so, so harmful to me. Poison. Anywhere I go, every step I take, it's a constant reminder to fight back or to take it all in. The question will always hang on to me. Can't live out with it alone. It's just that I feel lonely, looking for something to realize. Afraid of what's beyond me. I look into the mirror, cannot recognize the monster I'm seeing before my eyes. Breaking free, leave it all behind. It's all so harmful to me. Poison. It's in my veins, in my head, taking over and over again. It's in my veins, in my head, taking over and over again. Feeling all my senses, I'm under control. What do I keep going up?
Alright, guys, welcome back. So, for our last player of the game, it's going to be a top laner by the name of RNG. And he played incredibly well. I don't know more to say. Top laners today are reigning supreme. And I guess it's the day of top laners. Other than that, I just think both top laners are just phenomenal today. We've seen them both just play out of their minds. Yes, and the logo has been fixed, but both top laners have played out of their minds. Both maintain gigantic CS leads. Both just completely outpressured their lane partners, and it's really hard to outpressure a Shen. But hey, Orenji made it work, and he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I gotta point something out real quick. Sorry, it was 12k damage on the Gnar versus 3600 damage on the Shen. So, definitely, definitely, quite of a diffy in the top lane up there. So, yeah, I'm glad to see it. I'm glad we didn't see another dying Gnar as we did in the last game. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of Orenji. Popped off with back with his name. Definitely put a showing out on the Gnar.
Redemption for the champion, that is for sure. Orenji shows us how it's supposed to be done. And what else can you guys say about the Gators and the Wolves? I think both teams did play very well. I think in game one, it was mostly just uh, difference of just overall skill level and them just being able to execute better as a team and outpressure the map overall. And I think it was a very similar story, but this one was even more of a stomp in game number two.
Yeah, I just think for the Crusaders, the reason it went so badly was the Rammus got put behind very early when he died. I think that's what really made
Mm-hmm.
the CS differential between him and Jarvan really start to get a lot bigger. And then the other big thing was there were a lot of kills that were just so close for the Crusaders to get, but they just weren't quite able to get them. And around that dragon fight, if they were able to get like just a kill or two more would have helped them be able to fight
Mm-hmm.
against the Gators later on. And Syndra losing the mid lane matchup is strange to me. And I think that also is unfortunate. And I think if Syndra is able to get a lead in the mid lane, the Crusaders also have a bit of an easier time in that game.
Definitely. I think one thing the Syndra was not respecting very much was the very short electrocute trade that the Victor would go for with the auto Q auto. Just being able to proc his Q auto as well as just, proc electrocute at the same time. She was not expecting that because she did take the less aggressive rune option of the phase rush. So she was not expecting this like early game presence of a Victor.
Yeah, and then compound on that, you had the Jarvan just constantly, hovering over where the Victor is. So Syndra couldn't really push up out of that lane. And then to add on to that point earlier, you were talking about how they first got those two dragons and they were able to set up around those the Crusaders at least. They stopped doing that around the third one. They opted in for this weird path that they took in from the bot lane. Like they funneled in from the bot lane and then just left the top side of the jungle towards the mid lane, completely open for the side of the Gators to just walk in there and take control of the pit by itself. And I think that was ultimately what caused them to take that weird fight, which they almost got. I think they got like 3 kills on the side of that, or Gators got like 3 kills on the side of that.
Something
So
along those lines, yes.
yeah, that definitely added to the gold lead that they were already starting to get there with their just lanes winning and overall just plays around the map that they were making.
And on top of that, the Gnar was just out pressuring the Shen the entire game, making sure those ultimates, other than one, weren't very impactful in any way.
Yeah, that solo kill under I think it was like the inhibitor tower. That was
Tier
really
3.
crazy.
Very, very good kill, making sure the Shen cannot affect anything. A Shen without an ultimate is almost not a champion. His goal is to affect the team by being there when his teammates need him, and he wasn't able to find an angle or a pocket of vision where he could just ult from.
Yeah, and Shogun said it in game. The Shen not able to even complete an item. That's how far behind Arenji was able to just set him back. I think it was just completely top diff, definitely throughout the laning phase, and even at the later stages, we saw that Gnar go into the bot lane, pressure up. He did have that weird death right after they took the Baron, but didn't really mean too much for his team. Overall, I think just the Gators had a much better objective control around the objectives that mattered and when they mattered. While the Crusaders were able to pick up those first two, it just showed like okay, they got the Rift Herald, they gave away the Rift Herald, they were able to get that with more gold. So even though you're getting those first two objectives, if you're giving away all that gold at the early stages and all that plate money, it's just gonna be you're gonna be slapping people with your wallets if you're the Gators on the other side of that.
Definitely, and I think the Shen felt that wallet of gold just smacking him in the face the entire game, if I'm being honest. But like you said, it was just the other team just playing just overall a little better. Good dragon control for the early game from the Crusaders, however, but like you said, they didn't get that vision control they needed, and they had some awkward pathing, especially during that third dragon fight, and that may have been the deciding fight, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. I think just overall, they just need to definitely review that. Look at some early pathing that they took on the Rammus and like how they were able to pressure. I think Shen just took some bad trades early on. We saw him getting pressured under his tower. Didn't really help out. So that like all those little compounding factors around the map, they just ended up ballooning into this big snowball. And then which eventually just turned into an avalanche falling on top of the Crusaders. So credit to the Gators for making that happen. We see a lot of teams just throw around these objectives or throw away their lead once they do get one. The game could have gone very differently, right? If the Crusaders were able to pick up that third dragon,
Hmm.
the Gators would have definitely been in a little bit tougher of a spot. But it didn't end up happening, and they came out on top.
Well, we did speak about how the Gators did have the easier comp to execute, just like the Nocturnals did last game. However, we did see the Gators able to actually execute on their comp and make it work and not fall apart throughout most of the game. They did have a couple of odd deaths, but those don't really matter when you're just able to time and time again execute where you need to, out pressure where you need to, and play the team fights like you're supposed to. Just wait for the Jarvan to go in and then dump all your damage. They didn't do it. They just played it properly. They didn't do anything out of the ordinary and screw up anything. They just played the comp like you should. Just wait for the Jarvan to do his thing and dump all your damage.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a big part of that was just having the pressure around your lanes. You can just do a lot more with the Jarvan than a Rammus can if you have pressure. Like Rammus can just roll in there, and we saw him try a gank at the like about like the 12-minute mark or something, where he blew Chaos's flash, but he never went back to the mid lane after that. You know
Hmm.
that's a 5-minute cooldown. You could have definitely looked for something after that. Gotten some more gold into your Singer's hand, which would have been very much needed, but didn't end up going for that. So a little bit questionable to see there from the Rammus pathing and overall his like ganking.
Definitely. But overall, I think these are both very, very fun games to watch. Congratulations to both the Wolves and the Gators for taking home the victory tonight. Hopefully, your game one went just as well, and the game two went well just for the Wolves. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. We do have the LRS draft taking place, and on Wednesday and Thursday we have our pre-made series. So we have some 5-man teams going at it on Thursday or Wednesday and Thursday. So we'll see you then. Take care, guys, and have a good night.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night.